think one of the reasons is because sometimes we delegate and it flubs up because the people don't do it like we would do it. So then we think nobody's going to do it like I do it. So I might as well just keep doing it.
It's true. It's true. We've got to learn basically that perfection is the enemy of completion. If you want to get something done, get it out there. Even if it's not perfect, you can always tweak it. You can always fix it. You can always change it. But if you don't actually do something, you're never going to do anything. I mean, you're not going to put anything out.
Right.
You can't wait for perfect because perfect is never going to happen.
Right.
And I have lived that. That's why I wrote the 10-step marketing program 2 years ago. It hasn't been released for a reason. It's because it wasn't perfect. But
so you know exactly what I'm saying.
I do.
Thank you for that.
I'm serious. I wrote it 2 years ago. I remember I wrote it in December 2 years ago. And
that's funny.
it just, it wasn't perfect. And now it's still not perfect, but it's going out January 31st. So.
And that same thing happened to me when I wrote my book. I could have kept working on it and working on it and working on it. Do you know who, what's his name? Max. I can't think of his last name, but I took a workshop online once. And one of the things about the workshop was you got to talk to him one-on-one. And he told me, Deb, you got to let it go.
Yeah.
So I finally did.
I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. And like I said,
because you want to look the best that you possibly can. And in your eyes, if you're not looking the best you possibly can, you don't want to do it. And yet you've been looking at it for so long that to somebody that hasn't ever seen it, it probably looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, you have to play to your audience. You have to remember that you're trying to teach people who don't have the power of information that you do. So they're not going to notice all of that. They're not going to notice that you forgot to mention this one little teeny tiny detail because that's what it is. It's just details. You just edit. And I wrote an article about this a couple years ago called Stop Editing Your Content to Death.
I need to read that.
I wrote it for myself. Yeah, I can email that to you. But I did. I wrote it for myself because I'm guilty of this. I'm a real person and I have more flaws than I care to admit, but this is one that I will, which is that I will not put it aside or publish, or I'll just hold on to it. And I'm at the point now where I realized how poisonous that is for my business. I can't move on. It causes so much mental clutter because you're constantly thinking about it.
I could have done this. I could do this better. I could do that part. I could rewrite that right.
Yeah. And if you just put it out there for the world actually, yes, you have some critics, but they're mostly nice people.
And you know what? Once it's out there, you think of something else, you can always go back and do it. But I write for Women to Women magazine, and I write that article right when the next one's due. And I'm always like the day that it's due or a couple days later, I send it in because I go over it and over it and over it and over it.
You wait until Mimi gives you a call?
Yes. It's terrible.
I get that. I'm admittedly a few days behind on my most recent blog post. So, like I said, full disclosure on that.
It makes me feel better that you do that too. I'm telling you, it really does. So thanks for sharing that.
No problem. Like I said, that's one of the things that I've really realized. And Deb and I had this conversation a little earlier off air. Just the difference in how people operate now compared to how they used to in business. And one of the things that I realized lately is just that it's okay to just be yourself and just be a real person. People relate to that a lot better. So if you do follow me on Facebook, you're going to see a lot of these stories where I'm talking about all of my failures because realistically, I wouldn't be where I am at without them.
That's very true.
I keep making mistakes, so I'm eventually going to keep learning from those mistakes.
Because they're new mistakes.
Most of them.
That's funny. So you do make the same mistake occasionally again.
Very much so. I have. Yes, I have. Yeah. And part of that is just not realizing what that failure was, not admitting that failure or not, we're really, humans are just, they're programmed bad. My educational background is in psychology. And one of the things that I study is obviously productivity and time management. I've done so much research in the past few years because I realized that was something I just needed to get better at. And we are so bad with it. And we don't realize
Everybody needs to get better at it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you hear people, the biggest thing, I'm too busy to do that, or I don't have enough time to do that, or how do you have enough time to do that? And it's because we don't treat time as a non-renewable resource. We don't treat it like it's going to disappear if we don't use it properly. So we delegate it to things that don't matter, or we do nothing with it, and then we feel like we don't have time. But realistically, there are so many better ways that you could be using that time. With my webinar that I just did, I released a little download at the end called 13 Better Ways to Utilize 5 Free Minutes, because everybody has 5 free minutes, but we don't utilize it very well. So, send an email. Check your email if you have 5 free minutes. Don't check your email every time you get a new email. Either schedule time for it, or when you have 5 free minutes, check it. Send out a handwritten note. Read an article, read a book, listen to an audiobook. There are so many different things that you could do with your time that would enrich your life. Or write out all of those things that are in the back of your mind, because then you'll reduce that mental clutter and you'll have the focus to do something important.
I like that. Something that's really helped me is Siri, take a note.
I don't have that. I have an Android phone, but I use a program called Evernote.
Right.
I love Evernote.
Is that the green with the elephant?
Yes,
yeah. That's
yes.
where Siri takes my notes.
Okay. I'll full disclosure, I am a certified consultant with Evernote, but I would use it even if I wasn't. I became one because I'm so passionate about it. I record it into Evernote. I put everything in Evernote. I run my entire business, my life, everything out of Evernote. So that's where I put all of those back burner projects that I can't focus on right now, all of those things that aren't getting done on my task list, they go there. So when I have those 5 free minutes, I can do a quick search and see what's next. What do I need to work on? What do I want to work on? Right.
And I do it with ideas for speeches, ideas for programs. And then I can go back when I have time and tweak it a little bit. Yeah. That is a really good program. And the cool thing is there are a lot of apps and different things that should make our life easier if we let them.
Yeah. I actually just shared an article on Facebook recently that was about how tech can actually help us, except for we're very bad at letting tech help us. We're very good at letting tech overrun our lives and using it improperly instead of using it to better our lives or make it easier. We don't use it to keep us organized. We use it to kind of kill time. And that's really the opposite of what technology should do. Technology should be freeing up our time, not eating up our time.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And if you have too many things that you don't know how to use, then it does eat up your time. You don't need all those things.
Yeah. I did. I wrote another article about that too, about, better ways to waste time. So when you have free time, instead of playing Candy Crush, read a book, do something physical, or meditate, do something that enriches you, something that refreshes you. We're very bad about taking care of ourselves, and we
Yes.
We use all this time. We feel rushed and hurried and busy because we don't have enough time to do the things that we want, and then we're not taking the time that we actually have to make ourselves feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's funny that you said that, because 2017 I have to do differently because I've not prioritized properly.
Oh,
I can't say that with every single day, but when if I have time blocked out for a workout or the gym, I need to focus on doing that. And if somebody says, let's go do this, or I need you for this, I need to learn to say no.
Yeah. That's a big thing for me for 2017 too, is reprioritizing my health.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of good things with my business and with my personal life and my family life, but I haven't prioritized my health as much as I need to. And that's something that is, that's on my list of things to change for the new year. Not a resolution, but just a lifestyle change.
Right. Yep. Resolutions don't usually work. But if you do it, if you make a list of things that you're going to implement, instead of treating them as a resolution, and you actually sit down and do it, it's a lot better, isn't it?
Yeah. You really, and the thing is, we tend to think about the new year as that, that second chance or that, that new opportunity. So we try to take on 20 different things at once. And that's just setting yourself up for failure. So that's where, one thing at a time, get in the habit, do 21, 28 days worth of something every day, build it into your routine. Because once you build it into your routine, you cut out that mental clutter of not doing it or of thinking of how, of getting it done.
And it becomes a habit.
And it becomes a habit. So then that just becomes part of your life.
Right.
And you don't have to make a decision about it.
Right, exactly.
Because one of the big things with us wasting so much time is we have decision fatigue about everything because...
Oh, I like that term, decision fatigue.
Well, we're at a point in history where we have so many different aspects of life that are so different, vastly different from 100 years ago. And so our happiness it declines because of it. Our priorities change, our free time changes, and it's affecting our health. Mm-hmm. It's because of this decision fatigue, because we're not building good routines. We're constantly creating mental clutter that we're not dealing with, and we're not building things into our routine so that we don't have to think about them.
Right. Right. So. And as a coach, I coach people to do that. Mm-hmm. Do this every night, and then it will just become habit, and you don't have to worry. And yet I can't do it for myself.
Yeah, I suffer from the do as I say, not as I do quite a bit. I do. I try to work on it because I really do stand by, and I'm sure you do too, stand by the advice that you give. It's just it's very hard to prioritize yourself, especially when you're focused on your clients or your customers. You want to do right by them. And sometimes that means sacrificing you.
Right.
And maybe that's not the way that we need to be. So
right.
That's something that I'm working with right now with my business. Was I got so focused on my clients' businesses and helping to manage their marketing or their business decisions, their strategies. And I let mine kind of go by the wayside. And then I woke up one day and I'm like, I have nothing, no prospects, nothing planned.
Moving forward, right.
And that's what caused my manic, let's plan the next 14, 15 months, because I realized how skewed my priorities have gotten.
So, and I'm taking some time off at the end of the year to sit down and do exactly what you did. And it's kind of writing down what worked, what didn't work, what you can do differently. And I think really you need to do that in your personal life as well as your business, your professional life.
Yeah. That was October for me. That was, I took almost the entire month where I didn't take on any new clients. I didn't publish anything on social media or on my website. And I just took the month to reassess everything that I needed to do personally, business. That way I had that strategy, and I didn't have to make the decisions. It was already figured out.
Right,
I just had to execute it. And not everybody has that luxury to take an entire month off. And, in hindsight, it was the best thing that I could have done for me at that point.
And you probably feel so much better every day because of it.
Yeah, I don't have to think about, okay, how am I going to what am I going to post today? I have that figured out for the next month. And then I have the next month's ideas formulated.
Wow,
so
nice.
I just have to sit down and put that into an executable plan, which is really nice. And what I did was that transferred into my client work, which meant that I could get ahead on my client work a little bit more because I created all of these templates. And I'm going to go back to Evernote. I created all these templates in Evernote, and now I just have to fill them out. I love it. It sounds so simple, and it sounds like something that should automatically happen in business. And yes, I had templates before, but I didn't have an organizational system. So I used October to create that organizational system, and it works.
See, and that's just what you have to do. Yeah. That's one of my big things is getting organized. And when I will be organized for a month, and then I'll get really busy and I'll put this here to get to next. And I'll put this here to get to later. And then before you know it, I'm totally unorganized.
Yeah, that's where I've tried to implement, and I still fail at this, but I'm really working on this, is the one-touch method. You only touch something once.
Right, that's good. Oh, I'm writing that down.
You put it away once, or you deal with it once. If it's on your task list, you touch it, you do it right now, you mark it off, and it's done. If you, for home life, You have a dirty dish, you wash it, you dry it, you put it away. Then you don't have to worry about it. It reduces that, reduces the mental clutter, which is a huge theme in my life and my business this month is how can we reduce that so that we can put our time into something that, for business owners makes money or, helps the bottom line, helps the company, helps to make our work lives function better, because a lot of people are really